Hello and welcome back to Pokemon Sword. How are you, Joe?
I'm the same as I was like 5 seconds ago, but
Gee,
to everyone else, that's
that was
a while ago.
It was at least 2 days ago.
Wow.
Or maybe if you've not caught up on this series at all and you're like several weeks behind, it could have been months. Or maybe you're watching us for the very first time and nobody knows who you are.
I love that Pokemon.
Darmanitan.
It's so adorable.
He's a monster in competitive.
It's such a, like, you know, nothing behind the eyes stare. But it's fun.
It's an absolute. I remember it. People telling me it's an absolute monster in competitive. For some Galarian Darmanitan, I think he's banned to Ubers or something. He's extremely strong.
Oh.
I'm not sure why. I didn't look into it. This chair is still very squeaky.
Just a little bit.
This squeaky chair. Thanks. Yeah, I think we've only got a couple more trainers on this route to fight, and then we get to the actual final town, which we can go exploring for a bit.
Is that supposed to be a mustache or part of its, like, lips? Or...
Yes. Your guess is as good as mine, mate. I have no idea.
I see your guess is as good as mine.
Oh, God. It's Lone Star. We've been jammed.
I, like, managed to somehow change the reference this time.
And who is he? It's asshole, sir. Major asshole.
I'm surrounded by assholes.
I'm surrounded by assholes. I knew it.
I need to watch the Naked Gun film.
Oh, they're so funny. Yeah, so funny.
Leslie Nielsen, like, it's a shame that he's no longer around.
Yeah.
Although I still think that they need to make more films like that. Because I feel like the movies, you know,
like Scary
Movie and...
I mean, the thing is, the first Scary Movie was funny.
Yeah. But I feel like they flanderized the flanderization somehow.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Like, they were already trying to make fun of stuff, but then made themselves, you know, not good. I
remember going to the cinema to watch Vampires Suck, which was the Twilight one with my dad. And I only laughed at one joke in the entire film.
Right.
Which was the bit where they were in the classroom in the chemistry like lab or whatever, and the vampire pulled out a bunch of stuff from his backpack and he was juggling a bowling ball, a baby, and something else. And then they all fell back in the backpack, but then the bowling ball fell on the baby. Oh. And that's the that was the only bit me and my dad laughed at in the whole movie.
Yeah. Well, superhero movie had Leslie Nielsen in it.
Which one was superhero movie? It
was the one where he was the dragonfly and went up against the hourglass.
I don't remember that one.
It had Drake Bell in it.
Grapple locked. The cry for this Pokemon sounds like he's saying, "I smell cheese." I know you won't be able to hear it because we turned the TV down, but it's what it sounds like.
Oh, no, I heard it.
He sounds like he says, "I smell cheese." It's really quite strange.
Maybe it does say that.
I do like how it's an octopus that, like, suplexes people.
Are those supposed to be ears on it? Oh no, that's a, like, tube.
Is it like an ink sac? He's an octopus. It's like siphon jet thing in its head.
Well, I didn't know if like it was wearing a thing on the front to look like it had angry eyes, but those were its eyes on the side. But I guess not.
No, it's like he's wearing a luchador mask.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty cool.
Which game does the luchador, like, Pikachu appear in?
Now you put me on the spot. It's the contest costumes for Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire.
Okay, so it is in the mainline ones. Then.
Yeah. You can change its costume in the Gen 6, Gen 3 remakes, and depending on what costume you give it, will change its type. Yeah. So it becomes electric fighting, and it gets like a fighting type exclusive move if it's in that form. But if you change it to, like, I don't know, the scientist one, and it becomes
Detective Pikachu.
No, I can't. I think one of them's like, there's one where it's in a dress and it becomes fairy type, but the signature move will change to a fairy type move rather than fighting, and you can't have all of them.
I want to see emo Pikachu. For like the dark type.
Wow. You're someone
would it be goth Pikachu or?
As someone who used to be an emo, I would say dark type is suitable. I mean, we fought against Piers in this game. He's pretty emo-y, isn't he? Okay. It's, yeah, I don't know. I mean, a lot of the stuff, like Gothitelle is a psychic type.
Yeah. Oh, your Pokemon are simply marvelous.
Every time you shift in that chair, it sounds like you fart.
It's Scooby-Doo 2, where like Velma wears the like squeaky outfit.
I'm just thinking of that bit from A Secret Show where Professor can't repeat the chair squeaking, and he's like, "It was the chair," and everyone thinks he farted really
I think
violently.
everyone's had a thing like that where they've not been able to sort of. It's like, no, I swear that was the case.
Yeah.
It wasn't me. It was the one-armed man.
Wow.
Is that a reference to something that Jim Carrey makes, or is it just a random thing? I feel like it could be a reference.
It's one or the other. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I rewatched The Truman Show recently.
I haven't seen it at all.
It's so good.
Because I feel like it's one of those things, because I already know the twist, like, will I get the same enjoyment out of it?
Yeah, because there's still a lot of other stuff in the film to unpack. Like, the more you rewatch it, you start noticing the extras in the backgrounds and some of the tricks and stuff that they use for keeping him in the place. And the other bits
spoilers, by the way.
and the other bits and pieces which you don't notice, like there's a guy who I think he's slightly balding and wearing glasses and a red jumper, but there's
that's the thing though, I feel like I'll be looking out for these things because I know that's what
but that's part of the enjoyment, and you see just the way that the actors in the film be actors in the film that they're partaking in the movie, and the tricks and stuff that they do is part of the, like, watching how they do it, and all the other different Easter eggs and stuff, like when he goes to the travel place and they're not expecting him to turn up at the travel place, the lady who's the travel agent comes onto set still wearing her makeup bib.
Right.
And you don't notice it the first time, but then you think, oh, that's what that is. Oh, yeah. Okay. And just little things like that and details and stuff just are in the background that you don't notice. And the symbolism, like the director being like God and other bits and pieces. It's such a good movie. It's probably my favourite Jim Carrey film. Yeah.
And I'll probably watch it at some point. I did sort of think to, when Matt Smith was the Doctor.
Yes.
There was a bit in, I think it was The Time of Angels, or either that or Flesh and Stone, but he's trying to comfort Amy.
Is that the one where they're on the ship full of weeping angels?
No, the ship crashed.
That's the one, okay.
But in the sort of story, he'd lost his jacket to the weeping angels and all that kind of stuff. But then when he came to comfort her, he was wearing the jacket, and people were like, oh, continuity error, like he's not supposed to be wearing that. But then it turned out in The Big Bang, in the finale, it was actually him from the future that had tried to remind Amy. And suddenly, that wasn't an issue anymore. It was actually part of the main story, and it made it better. That's
the thing with time travel stories. You can do things like that and fuck around with it, and people will say, "Oh, continuity error," but you've not seen the full story yet. Yeah. You've got to remember, they're time travelers. They can do stuff like that.
Yeah, it's really nice when there is a level of rewatchability to something.
I stopped watching Doctor Who during that series. Yeah. I lost interest in it at that time whilst that series was ongoing, and I just gradually stopped watching it, and I've not got back into it since.
I feel like you would like Peter Capaldi as a Doctor, but some of the stories are a little bit shit. Like
the one that comes to mind, the one that comes to mind is the one where the fucking moon is an egg.
Yeah, but there's also In the Forest of the Night, which is shit as well, where it's just like there's a bunch of kids that are really annoying, and the story's shit, and it's just
fair enough.
There's also Nightmare in Silver as well, which is pretty rubbish, because it was a Neil Gaiman script, but then they fucked it up somehow.
These two are kicking our ass. What other ones has he...
I've not even been paying attention to the fight.
What other ones has he written?
The Doctor's Wife, the...
Oh, I didn't like that one.
The one where the TARDIS came to life.
I hated that one. That one was stupid.
Neil Gaiman's the person who's like written like Coraline and stuff.
Okay, I liked that film.
Like, cause he's like an author. I'll try and see if there's any more episodes. Doctor Who, Neil, not Beale.
Again,
Neil.
with some bringing back rewatchability. The second time through watching Coraline, you see stuff at the beginning of the movie which you didn't spot the first time around, which explains some of the stuff that happens later, kind of like subtle Chekhov's guns or references to further on in the film, which I think is pretty interesting.
Yeah. It's the reason why I like Back to the Future so much, because you see like so many things upon rewatch where you're like, oh yeah.
The one I spotted for myself the second or third time I watched it after the first time, which I didn't notice.
Is this Coraline or Back to the Future?
Back to the Future. Which you probably will know and picked up straight away, is when the shopping centre gets renamed from Twin Pines Mall because he crashes into the tree, which I didn't spot the first time round.
Yeah, I'm trying to like think, because right at the beginning of the film it shows like a bunch of clocks and it's like moving through them, and one of the clocks has a person dangling from the clock like Doc Brown does later on in the film. And like, you know, there's certain just sort of things that foreshadow, like, in fact that's the reason why I like you know, like the Cornetto trilogy and, you know, that kind of thing. Like there's so much foreshadowing there that you don't really notice at first, but then you see it again and then it does. Because like,
talking of rewatching films, I rewatched Quantum of Solace recently.
Why?
It's not as bad as I remember.
Alright, that's good at least.
It's genuinely not as bad as I remember it being. Everyone shat on it at the time, and upon reflection now you realise the reason they made it was padding, because they needed an extra movie's worth of time until they had the license to use Blofeld and Spectre.
But I thought...
But the actual story following on, literally like a couple of hours after Casino Royale ends, it still holds up.
Yeah, but I thought that Quantum of Solace was an Ian Fleming short story, wasn't it?
I'm pretty sure it was, yeah.
But like, Blofeld didn't come into it until after the film that was after that.
I know.
Skyfall was before.
I know it was, but they needed an extra film's worth in between so they could use the character. They didn't have the license, so they needed an extra one. They needed an extra 2 movies, so Skyfall and Quantum of Solace, so then they could do it. I'm pretty sure was the reason.
Well, I do think that Blofeld's a little, you know, overrated.
Yeah, I mean, he's
iconic. Sure.
He's the iconic classic villain, yeah, but they brought him back for the audience.
Yeah, I think it's a thing that happens with Sherlock Holmes.
Ta-da!
You know, where it's like originally there were only 2 stories that had Moriarty in it.
Yeah.
But then they just sort of decided, oh well, he's just the guy who's always there now.
It wasn't. Well, they decided. You mean Arthur Conan Doyle?
No, I mean like, because like Arthur Conan Doyle originally had it where it was, you know, just those 2 stories, and then Sherlock was like gone for a while.
Yeah, I know.
But like, then when they were adapting that sort of stuff, they sort of brought Moriarty into like more things, I think.
In the TV series, yeah, but there was still the threads of that in the books, I should say.
Yeah. Well, I've not read a bunch of it. I thought the game froze for a second.
I do like the music in this city.
I can't hear it.
The little trams of the double-decker buses.
Yay! Which is like transport.
I'm the new champion. No, you're not. Right.
No, it's one of those fucking Mr. Mimes again.
They're not that bad.
It's Pennywise.
Not every clown is a Pennywise.
You'll float too!
Wee. Gonna quickly go in here.
Bash into the plant pot.
But anyway, yeah. Quantum of Solace is generally not as bad as people made it out to be. rewatching it, it holds up, and it's an okay film. Don't get me wrong, there are certainly things wrong with it. Like, you can see the guy sweeping the air behind in the shot and stuff, and other weird bits and pieces. But there are certain plot elements which do hold up, and there's certain ones that don't. And especially when you watch all of them together, which I did, it works. And
I can't remember what happened in Quantum of Solace. I think that's the issue that I have.
Yeah, that's
if I watch it again, maybe I'll remember what happened.
But there are certain things which I didn't notice when I went to the cinema to watch it, which I noticed now as an adult.
Yeah.
Like, there is a motif of the 4 elements throughout the film: earth, air, fire, and water, and there's a different fight scene which takes place in all of those different things, which uses the coloration of them and incorporates them into it in a certain way. And
I think it also helps that Daniel Craig was still like fairly new at the time and wasn't already jaded by the whole being James Bond thing.
Yeah,
because like he was still in them, like, you know, 3 or 4 like films after he said he was going to leave.
No, it wasn't that. It was just that he didn't want to do one again so soon.
Right. Okay.
His sentence was taken out of context. It's he was fine doing it. It was just doing one straight away. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yes.
But like they were kind of making him like just this old, like, you know, he's not as good as he used to be kind of James Bond, even though he was originally like, maybe that was just Skyfall, but like,
well, that was the point of Skyfall, where he took time out and he was being shown to be out of his depth. But his version of Bond always had that kind of, I'm gonna improv stuff and whatever happens. Like, he's not perfect.
Yeah.
Like when he makes jumps and stuff and he ends up slamming into a wall and things, that's a constant motif throughout the films, and it's done on purpose because he's still a fresh agent. Because that series, the Skyfall pentology, if you want to call it that, all of those take place before Doctor No is supposed to take place. Because where that film ends, handing off to the new male M after Judi Dench dies, is the same office with Moneypenny.
I know that.
From Dr.
It
No.
does create a little bit of a weird time loop thing.
It does.
Because it's like M was there, then died, then they got a new M, and then the other M appeared later on with Pierce Brosnan, and then like...
Yeah, I know. It is.
Which is, you know... it doesn't ruin anything, but it is a very odd sort of thing, like if you're watching them in, like, you know, what's supposed to be chronological order.
I'm gonna take my jacket off.
It is surprising how long it took them to make a proper Casino Royale film, though. The fact that they started with Dr. No, and then
actually no, they did. They
had a version, but it was like a comedy version.
There's 2. There's the black and white comedy version, but there is also a made-for-TV black and white Dr. No film, but they didn't have the license to use the same name, so it's called something else. I can't remember. Yeah, but like
Dr. No wasn't the first story.
Sorry, because you said Casino Royale. Yeah. There was the original comedy Casino Royale, which is the one that you were probably thinking of, but there was a made-for-TV version as well.
Did Fleming write Dr. No?
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
Which of the...
It's part of the Spectre trilogy of books. I've got it at home.
Like, which of the... Like, so there was Casino Royale, Live and Let Die, Goldfinger...
Yeah.
And then I don't know what it is past that.
I don't remember either. I do have a couple of... I don't have all of them.
Because he didn't write that many in comparison to like how many films there are.
No, I think there's only 7 or 8 books.
Because like, I'm pretty sure that all of the Pierce Brosnan ones are completely original.
Yes, they are. I'm pretty sure they are.
Although I think that GoldenEye is like even more devastating now than it would have been back then.
Pourquoi?
Because like if they had like a whole thing where, you know, a satellite wipes out, you know, all the connections and all that kind of stuff for like internet and everything, it would be more devastating with a world that's, you know, more internet savvy than it would have been back then when it was kind of new.
That's true, yeah.
Because people have adjusted to it now. So if it's gone, then it's like way worse.
Well, that's why, even though as someone who's grown up as part of the quote-unquote smartphone and internet generation, I mean, at the very tail end of it, being a millennial and stuff, but still growing up with the internet, I still have the, in inverted commas, analog knowledge to fall back on. I know how to read a map, I know how to use an FM radio, I know how to do the basic stuff that requires not having a computer to do it for you. I don't have to use my phone to be a calculator to do maths in my head and bits and pieces. Just the basic stuff which you think everyone should be able to do, but you ask a kids these days to do a simple sum and they'll pull the phone out.
Yeah, but to be fair, that is also just a thing of, you know, not everyone's good at maths.
Even so...
I'm not very good at maths either.
Yeah, but you can still do basic arithmetic in your head. Part of it, I understand, is the convenience of having the smartphone in your pocket, but you also need to be able to not rely on it.
But it's also a thing that you...
Kids these days.
You can use...
Just me being a boomer, don't mind me.
You can use a calculator, but you kind of have to know how to use a calculator. Like,
yeah, there are certain tricks to doing it.
If you type in, like, the wrong thing, then you're going to get a completely wrong answer.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know, you think that, like, oh, I just put in, you know...
Ooh, let's pick up some moves.
The sum or whatever, but, like, sometimes even the calculator itself, depending on what you're doing, will give you, like, a different answer.
Well, there is what's called an order of operations for doing a sum.
But, like, sometimes different calculators will give you different answers depending on how they interpret it. So you have to sort of have a general knowledge of how the... you know, thing actually works. Otherwise you just kind of, you know, stuck.
Can I sell anything else for more money? No, I don't think so.
What is black sludge?
It's a healing item like leftovers, but it only works for poison types.
Oh, okay.
Which is if you're going to use the move Trick, for example, where you swap items with the opponent. If someone does that to you and takes the healing item, it'll poison them instead, so you can use it to deceive and trick them.
I see.
Or you can give it to a Pokemon like Breloom, for example, who, when it becomes poisoned, if it has its hidden ability, powers up its attack stat and stuff like that. So there are tricks and things you can do with the different items. Should we get some new moves? I think we should.
Sure.
We're lacking in ice coverage. That's something we should probably pick up. We don't have a lot of that.
Okay.
And we can't actually buy anything else.
I do appreciate with Casino Royale how they did update things. Because
my favourite bit of Casino Royale is the opening, where it's in black and white, but it's got all the Hitchcock Dutch angles and things to it, which I quite enjoy. It makes it feel like it's set in the 60s.
Yeah, but there are like certain scenes where it's like they made it more dramatic, because in the film version of it, they have, you know, he's playing, I guess it's poker, because in the original it's Baccarat, I think.
I think you're right, actually, yeah.
But in the like remade one, he gets poisoned, and then he has to like figure out, you know, how to like get rid of the poison and stuff, and then he like comes back to the table and all that kind of stuff happens. I think, isn't he on like a phone call or something with someone to like
work it out? MI6 call him, and because he's got a tracker implant in his arm or something, but it's, like, tells them he's been poisoned or whatever.
Like this whole like big scene, and then like in the book, someone comes up behind him with a gun. And he's like, oh, there's a gun to my back. He tips his chair backwards and falls off it, and that's it. That's how he gets out of it. He just tips his chair back.
But that's the thing. It's the same with Jurassic Park. In a way, because there is a point to this. In Jurassic Park, you get Alan Grant's internal monologue for how he works out the T-Rex can't see him, for example, whereas in the film it's just like, oh, okay,
he just knows it.
He just knows, don't move. But in the book, you get his internal thought process, and you get to learn how smart a character he actually is, and his workings out as a scientist. It's the same in the James Bond novels, whereas you see him work his way out of a situation and actually him thinking through it as a spy rather than just does a thing. You lose some of that in adaptation, I find.
Yeah.
Which, you know, it is a fallback of the medium, and it brings us back to that same point with the anime again. Whereas in the manga, you have them going through the internal thought processes and stuff, but then in the anime they also just speak it out. But if they did that in a film, it would be weird.
Yeah.
And they don't really do that.
I think it depends on the film. There are certain films that do pull it off, but it has to be a very specific style to it. You know,
it works for film.
Fight Club and stuff,
but
and Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
That's a helicopter in the background. That's very loud.
That's not a helicopter, is it? I thought that was.
Yeah.
I thought that was a. Vroom, vroom.
No, that's a motorbike. You mean?
Yeah.
No, that's a helicopter.
Oh, it's Marnie.
Yeah. It works for film noir. Film noir, it works.
Yeah.
That's is a genre. I'm just going to talk to Ball Guy and see what he gives us.
Works for Max Payne.
Max Payne's film noir.
Yeah.
Thanks for rolling by to have a chat with Ball Guy. That means you've got a Pokeball. What's he going to give us? A Dream Ball. Oh, that's nice. To fulfill our dreams.
Hop's there as well.
He is. I think Marnie's in the final tournament.
Yeah, I think everyone is, right?
All the main characters, yeah.
Except for, I don't know where B is.
He will join later. The 4 remain in the semi-finals. Us, Marnie, Hop, and, well, B. Bede, even. B's the gym leader.
What's the little Pikachu knockoff called?
Morpeko.
Okay.
Anyway.
I'm really bad with the names.
I like our costume now. I think this finishes it off nicely. I might redo our hair, but otherwise I'm pretty sure I'm happy with this as our outfit.
I'm pretty sure you've got an outfit like that. Like similar.
I do. Aside from not having pink hair in real life, this just looks like me now.
Yeah.
Although I could dye my hair pink.
Why am I still wearing this hat?
I don't know. And as we ponder that question, we're going to wrap up this episode, as that's pretty much all we've got time for. Thank you everybody so much for watching. We really do appreciate it. Like the video if you did. Subscribe to see us take on the Champion Tournament Cup shit thing next time. And we'll see you there. Stay safe and stay tuned. See you later.
See you. Bye. You
could have said that with a bit more enthusiasm.
Well, because when I was saying see you, I was like, oh, well, you've just said see. I'm like, oh,
Fuckity bye.